Hey, we are back for a very special episode. That's what they used to call it in TV land, right? This is the Force 5 podcast. Every year, I like to look back on the world of physical media, which is becoming more and more important as the way to ensure that movies are around for generations to come. And we're going to talk about that a little bit here. But every year, I've had Ryan from Disc Connected on to help me count down the best discs released that year. So today, we're going to go over the best physical media that came out in 2025. Now, if you're into physical media, you probably already know who Ryan is. But if you're not, he runs Disc Connected, a YouTube channel and podcast that is all about physical media. He also releases the Physical Media Advocate, which is a magazine dedicated to physical media. And he runs Someone's Favorite Productions, which is both a podcast network that you're listening to right now and a special feature production house. And something tells me you're going to get a lot busier, Ryan, but we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. How are you? How are you tonight?
Good. It has been a hell of a year. It's a hell of a year for film, for physical media, for myself, for the world. In many aspects, we are feeling the weight of the world, and in others, I feel like we are ramping up to something very special. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so eager for it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we're going to get into all that stuff. But let's talk physical media first, just in general. What were some of the physical media trends that you saw from the industry in 2025? Like last year, we talked about how Best Buy had stopped selling physical media. Some of those other places like Target and Walmart were kind of winding down in-store stuff. What did you notice out of 2025?
Well, ironically, Best Buy is selling physical media again online. They're well, kind of, I guess. They're shipping it for them. It's it's a weird situation, but I love that this has only lasted 1 year that we could say that. So some of the big things, working on the inside has opened my eyes to a lot of things that would not have been very visible. One of the biggest things that I don't love, and I know that you feel the same about this, is packaging is like the number one most important thing to so many people in the world, that if you are not releasing a film in some sort of premium hard box with like 3 long books and art cards that nobody ever looks through other than the first time you open it, and better have a spot gloss slipcover and all these other things, or the world's most premium steelbook ever imagined, it's almost just not worth buying. And to me, I would rather that we see just a standard, like Criterion level Skinovo case with all of that extra money put into a couple extra bonus features that can contextualize the film, or we can give to a film historian that was able to unearth this as like a bonus because they get paid next to nothing. I mean, literally, I've worked with companies that have stated, we're going to put more of our time and energy into the packaging because if not, these titles are not selling. And that alone is worrying. I do appreciate that we are getting loving, just over the top releases for some of those movies because I love them myself. I want to see those, but it should not be where every film needs that to sell, and that is going to cause prices to go up, which is another trend we can talk about from this year. Not only was there tariffs, but things, when every step of the process gets more expensive, the ones that lose the most are the end consumers. And most people are end consumers, and even though I work a lot on the inside, I still pay for the vast majority of my stuff because I'm not contributing to everything, and it's expensive out there. I mean, not that I used to collect every single thing that came out, but it's the story of everyone right now, that you're a lot more choosy, you're a lot more declining to finish collections that you started, or wanting to check out something from, oh, look, there's this brand new label. It's a lot more difficult to take a risk nowadays.
But how am I going to survive without my art cards, Ryan? God, I don't understand that as like a selling point. Like, oh, we have 12 art cards. Like, I'm never even going to look at them once. They are going to stay in the packaging. I'm never going to look at them. But I agree, things have gotten way more expensive. We were talking before air that we're both trying to thin out our collections a little bit, and I've done pretty good over the last 2 years of kind of ramping down what I've been buying because things are getting so expensive. I mean,
yes,
one of the reasons we connected in the first place was over Vinegar Syndrome discs. I mean, MSRP doesn't mean a whole lot in general, but when your MSRP is like $65 for a single 4K disc and your sale price is $50, I'm not going to buy it. And I will, in a lot of cases, wait and wait and wait until there's a standard edition without all that stuff that's going to just take up more room. And I'm not even going to see it 99.9% of the time I have it. I'm going to wait for that standard edition. And if I can't find one, then I just can't find one. I'm not going to own that movie because $50 is way too expensive. Actually, I'm looking at the table here. There's one thing that I'm going to talk about tonight in our top 5 that I bought at full price. Everything else I waited for sales because I'm not that thirsty anymore. And as we get older, there's more important things to spend money on than those crazy box sets. So yeah, my own buying has ramped down because of that.
Let's say I'll plead the fifth on that one. So the other big thing that I wanted to bring up here is, you talked about the importance of physical media, and I think for like the 27th year in a row, it's been a year of articles coming out saying physical media is not dead; it's having a resurgence. And let's be honest, it's exhausting seeing that every Tuesday of every week. One thing that I would really like to point out is the tide change in consumer attitudes overall, not just about physical media itself, but how much this ties into a handful of things. The economy, not to make the super political quickly, but the federal attack on art that we've seen this year, the corporate attack on art that we've seen this year, and the ability to literally own things, like the definition of arguments that we've been having since feudal times as humans. Literally, we're coming down to like the idea of the proletariat coming together to demand that they own things. And the fact that this is an argument that we have to fight for centuries, and we still never get over the fact that we're just letting the elite top percentage of people control what we're allowed to own, is getting embarrassing for our level of intelligence. I do feel like we are finally seeing some steps to rail against streaming and rail against the corporatized, like, movies anywhere is my answer to everything sort of feeling. And I guess that was, in a way, kind of corporate plugging too, since there's a company called Movies Anywhere. But the joke is, like, so many of these you don't actually own. You're paying for, like, a card that says I own this that they can take away at any time. And that in itself is embarrassing, is a problem, is a ridiculous waste of money. And I know that most people listening to this probably understand that and already follow that. But the reality is we're starting to see the general public feel that, which is not something that I would have said for the last 5 years. And funny enough, 2021 was probably the height of physical media as a hobby over the last, we'll say, 7 years, because people had stimulus money, people were stuck at home and looking for a way to do these things. But it was only because it was the only way to do it at the time. Now, it is the response to do it as the answer to things. And it's not just the only way to do it, it's the right way to do it. It's the way that I can feel better about it, and people are finally starting to understand that. And honestly, good for you. If that means going to Goodwill and picking up $2 DVDs for the movies that you love instead of the shiny 4K from Vinegar Syndrome that costs $55, please do that. Then you own it. It's still physical media. You're supporting something that's going to keep the industry growing. I mean, the biggest thing that we could see that would ruin this is if people stopped altogether and then hardware stopped being made. If we're not getting players made, we're fucked. Like, that is the end game for this, is the moment that you see everybody pull out of the physical player game. When that happens, it truly is over.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't think I should grab another 4K player and just keep it in the box upstairs hidden away for when mine eventually dies in 10, 15, 20 years and they don't make them anymore. Because people are running into that with VCRs now. You got to really look for VCRs, and I don't want that to be the case for Blu-rays and 4Ks. And this problem is only going to get worse if, and this... We're recording this a little bit before this is going to come out, but we just had the news of Netflix and acquiring WB and HBO. And Netflix has not been great at putting things out on physical media. So now you have this company that owns, or potentially will own, 100 years of movies, and many of which never have had a physical release, and those may just be locked in a vault forever. So yeah, own the stuff while you can. Now, we've seen a lot of really great sales recently. Were there any older releases that you were able to snag in 2025 that you love having in your collection? Maybe you hadn't found it before and you were able to grab it this year?
You know, one thing that I really appreciated this year that I was able to grab, and this is going to be such an off the wall thing, especially because I'm not even going to name specific titles. But I, at the very end of 2024, was able to interview, like, I don't, a cinematic god, essentially, is the way that I should describe him, because I was able to sit down with the man that Oscar at Vinegar Syndrome. For those that don't know Oscar, he is the guy that is in charge of the archive. He is the man that does a lot of the restoration. He is the one that is in charge of like taking their reels, making sure they're in perfect, able to be scanned and be clean, and all of the things that we need. Oscar himself actually helped me get George Williman. George Williman is the nitrate film vault leader at the Library of Congress. And so one of the things that meant the world to me this year is going back into primarily the Kino Lorber catalog during sales and look at the ones that had the Library of Congress logo in the top right, and knowing that when I picked these up, things that I had been in my wish list for years that I've wanted to get, but I kept saying, I'll just get them next time. It's Kino. There's 5 sales this year. There always is. They'll be on sale again. Even if it's not the next sale, it'll be on sale the one after that. But I was picking up titles that are ranging from like the 1800s all the way up to current films with the Library of Congress branding that helps fund the Library of Congress to make sure that film is archived properly, to make sure that trademarks are handled properly, to make sure that they are secured and not lost if there's ever a vault fire somewhere, like we've seen across the world in many different places. I got a sense of genuine pride knowing that the cost coming to this release that I'm spending is going to go to a couple different companies, not just Kino Lorber, but the Library of Congress in a way that can genuinely support more and more of these being put out and restored from the last 130 plus years of film.
Yeah, he has the dream job. He has the job we would love to have right there.
Absolutely.
Archiving and keeping films. That's awesome. One of the sales that I was able to catch up on is actually another part of physical media, kind of the way things with physical media are going. It was the Shout Factory sale. So for those not aware, Shout Factory stopped selling their media through their own online store and have moved on to partner with Universal's Groove to send those out. And they had an insane clearance on all kinds of really cool stuff. I got the there's this Alf Deluxe box set. It had every episode of Alf and the movies, and it was like $20 I got it for, and I think it was like $160 normal. I think, Ryan, I shit you not, like I felt pretty good about my physical media spending up until that point in the year, and I spent like $500 on that sale, and I got like tons of stuff.
Here's my Rock of Melmac that shipped from Shout Factory when I bought the Alf box set myself.
Yep, I got that Melmac rock as well, sitting around here somewhere. I don't know what to do with it yet, but
it shattered my acrylic box. I'm pissed.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff from that I was filling out my collection. Abbott and Costello, that big collection, was another one that I got
cheapest
it for like
by far.
$50. Yeah,
yeah, and that thing when it came out was like $150. They had Blu-ray titles for $1.95. And these titles are not bottom of the barrel titles. These are things that when they were released were $30, literally.
Yeah, I got a ton of stuff there. All right, so physical media, you've been running Disconnected for what, 5 years now, 6 years?
Something like that. Yeah, almost 6. Jeez.
About Good that. God. So what's new with your physical media empire?
I mean, a lot. Just keeping this going is getting difficult to a point because so many tendrils have gone out into the world in very different arenas. One of the biggest things, every time that we do this, we talk about the upcoming Shelf Shock Rewind Awards, and this year will be on February 15th. Last year, I surprised everybody by having personalized videos from Sean Baker and Fran Galuppi and Joe Lynch. The cast of Dinner in America opened the show. It was kind of a crazy event to bring around the entire world around physical media in a way that I, like 3 years ago, never dreamed that this ever could have been. And now I have to do it again. And sadly, this is going to be the last one that I'm hosting myself. I'll be helping and consulting behind the scenes moving forward, but I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do because the reality is launching this month, as you're listening to this, it's now public. I'm launching my own film distribution company called Antenna, and funny enough, one of the names I just mentioned, Fran Galuppi, who's the director of Last Stop in Yuma County, is going to be running this company with me and another friend of the
Awesome.
show, Billy Ray Bruton, who's been on here and you've been on his shows. Billy Ray will be involved with it as well. We are doing theatrical VOD streaming, and then later in 2026, we will be launching our first physical media releases. So that'll be late this fall. But the big thing is knowing how Fran was, let's publicly be nice and say, not treated very well while distributing his incredible film, Last Stop in Yuma County. He was burned by that, and he loves physical media. I've seen friends get burned in the distribution world, and I love physical media. Billy Ray has been involved with films that have gone through the festival circuit, has been on, like the boards of festivals and seen films come through that he thought immediately should have got distribution before they even walked out of the room that could never get distribution. And so the three of us together just kind of said, well, we can do all of this. We can advocate for these people. And so, not to sound sort of like an egomaniac about it, but I'm really confident that we're going to step in and sort of interrupt the way that things are done. We've already seen certain filmmakers call us out of nowhere over the last 6 months for a company that is not yet public because they heard the deals that we were talking about with people, just because we were trying to be filmmaker friendly. We were trying to say, listen, we're not going to charge you $25,000 to market your film and then do nothing. We're going to swallow those costs so that we are equally invested to make our money back and then some. And you know that your contribution is this incredible film. And we believe in that, and we're going to do our best to make the world believe in it. And so far, it has paid off in incredible relationships. And now that it's public, I can't wait to take the first film to theaters and have everybody fall in love with it too.
Yeah, this is really exciting news. And I'm, first off, congratulations. I'm super happy for you.
Thank you.
When you told, I learned about this not too long ago, but when I learned about it, it was like fist pump, like, oh man, that's awesome. Because I know nobody is as invested in physical media as you are, as at least that I know. Like, you are what I think about when I walk into my closet. I'm like, man, but what if this was like Ryan Verrill's collection? But I do have one question about this whole thing. What are your packaging and art cards going to look like?
We we have a lot of dreams and beliefs about each of our films, and one of the things that I can say is I never want to do anything fluffy. However, I do think that there are films that deserve extra special treatment and fandoms that deserve extra special treatment. And I'm not going to go crazy with anything that's going to cost you hundreds unless the title demands for it for some weird reason. But I am mostly about what is on that disc. And a lot of the things that we're going to focus on are proper special features, proper educational yet entertaining, contextualizing supplements that not only make you feel like you understand the film better, but that you got your value in the money that you paid for it.
Well, it's a great philosophy to have. If I was you and you're interested in physical media, listeners, go and subscribe to Disconnected so you'll understand when these things are coming out so you can pre-order and purchase and get those on your shelves and support somebody who loves and supports physical media like we do. All right, Ryan, 2025 saw a ton of great discs come out. I have agonized since I asked you to come on for this to come up with just 5. I know you have some extras just in case, and we'll get to honorable mentions at the end there. Did you narrow your list down in any way?
Not only did I narrow my list down, I did my best to make sure that I, one, did not repeat any labels, because I feel like that is a little overzealous for certain companies. Because as of this moment, I've not counted in about a year and a half, but last year at some point, there was 150 active boutique labels, and I've been parroting that number for a long time, and I should probably recount again. But there's been companies opened since then, and I can't think of any that have shuttered since then. So if anything, it's only, I mean, I just announced a company on the show. Like, it's only growing, literally. And the fact that that is true, I don't want to say that the 5 best ones of the world were from 3 companies or whatever. So I tried to do that. I tried to vary my taste in some of the films and not go overlapping in too many of the genres. And one of the big things is I'm really trying to do films that are not super mainstream. Most people have probably heard of some of these, and a few of them are very mainstream. I'm not going to argue with that. However, I'm a big fan of films that are either on the verge of being lost or were lost or have just been discovered or what have you. And I think that is some of the most important work being done in physical media, because without that work, I mean, sure, we're going to see releases of the major Hollywood franchises for the rest of our lives, undoubtedly. But if somebody can put out some obscure Italian film from 1981 that only 6 people have ever heard of, that is a risk that I want to make sure gets rewarded when they not only pull it off and just get the release out, but that it's an amazing release. So I'm happy to discuss all of these.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good mixture of things. I do have two from one studio, but I just couldn't leave either one of them off, and I'll talk about that. I have pretty eclectic tastes. I do have one that's super mainstream on my list because I wanted to get like a new release that came out for a 2025 movie, so I picked the best one that I thought represented that. I got a couple of box sets. I got a couple of single disc films. And yeah, the only other thing that I had to have was that it's a rule that I've always had on these episodes, is that I need to own it. If I don't own it, it doesn't make the list. Got to have it here with me. Last year I couldn't do that because I was in like a log cabin in Tahoe when we recorded, if you remember that. But
Oh yeah,
not this time. That was like spotty internet trials and tribulations.
much better already.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Well, you've got the backup copies, so maybe I should go first.
Yeah,
with
let's do that.
My number 5 here. All right. And folks, if you're listening to this, I'm actually going to upload video of this one. So you can check that out on YouTube if you like, at the Force 5 Podcast YouTube, which is going to be cranking this year, hopefully, in 2026. All right. Amazing. So first one, I'm going to go with one for a mainstream release that I really wanted to highlight. It was the only movie, well, I wouldn't say the only movie, one of two movies that when I watched it in the theater, all I could think of was, I cannot wait to watch this multiple times on my own home theater. And I don't know why that was trouble getting it out, but it was like, I gotta own this in 4K the day it comes out. I didn't buy it the day it came out. I waited for a sale because I later got some self-control. But I want to highlight the 4K for Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. Directed by Ryan Coogler. This, I'm sure you've seen it. Do you love it?
Not only do I love it, this is a movie that has set firmly on my top of 2025 list all year long. And normally that's not a huge deal for me because I only watch like 40 movies at most from the year that it's come out. This year, I've had a really weird year, and because I've worked on so much physical media, I've gone to the theater every single weekend for at least a double feature since April, and not missed a single weekend. And I think I'm at over 150 in theaters this year. So the fact that it's been there since early May or whatever it was that it came out is crazy. I mean, I've got, I think, like 30 movies that are 4.5 stars or above, and I fell in love with this movie.
I'm sure that everybody listening to this has heard of Sinners, if not seen Sinners, but I haven't recorded yet my top films of 2025. Spoilers, this will be one or two. I haven't decided yet. There's one other movie that I'm thinking about at the top, but it'll be one or two. There's a scene in this movie in a club where music starts. And did you see it in IMAX?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX as well. And the screen moves into IMAX aspect ratio as that scene plays out. And very rarely, it happens once in a while, where I will be watching a movie and like I start tearing up because it's something that I haven't seen before. And I know it's a moment that is changing the way I looked at this movie, and it's changing the way I will look at cinema for a while. I know it happened with The Matrix, and it happened with that scene in this movie. All I could think about when I got out of the theater was, I got to watch that scene again, and I need to watch it in 4K on my system at home. And it did not disappoint. It's also for a studio release. They've been pretty stingy with special features. Mm-hmm. It's been like maybe one EPK thing that's kind of half-ass, 5 minutes long, maybe a commentary if we're lucky. This has a couple of featurettes. It's got deleted scenes, and it actually gives a lot of substance to Sinners and Ryan Coogler's vision. So had to give it up for the 4K of Sinners. this one is at the top of my list. And if you like horror movies, if you like Michael B. Jordan, he gives great performances, and Coogler is just something special. So highly recommend Sinners.
So two things. I don't know how you feel about this. I think this is the film that affected me most. Literally watching it in IMAX compared to any other version, the aspect ratios changing on this was the most effective I've ever seen that be used. The barn doors opening and seeing the aspect ratio widen was incredible. The going to scope when it was looking at the horizon, when they go and show the Irishman coming up to the house at that one scene. I try not to spoil much. It is just immediately like, whoa, I feel like I just entered something because it's genuinely like immersive. I don't know that I will get that feeling from an IMAX film possibly ever again.
Yeah, and the other thing that I didn't mention is how amazing the effect of having two Michael B. Jordans on screen is. That was one of the things that I was worried about going in. And it was maybe the first 5 minutes when one passes a cigarette to the other in the same frame. And you're like, there's just two Michael B. Jordans. And that's it.
Oh, they cloned him. Got it.
Yeah. Like, so well done. I don't know how he did it, but holy cow. I mean, I know how he did it now because you can see it in those special features. But I didn't know how he did it at the time. And it was absolutely dazzling.
So you said that was one of two films from this year you had to get immediately. Was the other one F1?
No, it wasn't.
Well, I'm very curious what it was because that was the big one for a lot of people because of the sound.
The other one is One Battle After Another.
Ah, that last scene on the road is
so good.
Mind-blowing.
So goddamn good.
All right. So my first choice is from a company that I think the first physical release was either like literally the beginning of this year or late last year, that I don't even know how to explain this. Like, this is a studio film that has been from a studio that has been around for, gosh, I should have done the math first. I think we're going on almost 80 years, that has not been dabbling in physical media themselves, and they had a change of hands. They've been bought. They were sold somewhere else, and then there was this whole thing. And now, over in the UK, we are getting magical, incredible releases from Hammer Films. And Hammer Films has put out box sets. And I say box sets, these are for single films every single month. They've been alternating. 1 month will be these giant, lavish, ridiculous, like 5 or 6 disc releases for a film from 1962 that you heard somebody talk about on a special feature, like mentioned by Kim Newman in 2012 or something. And that's the only time you've ever heard of it. And then they announce it, and you go, oh, nope, I have to have it. It looks absolutely amazing. And one of these this year was a film that I had known, I'd seen, I'd owned in a very, very inferior release before. And so I had to talk about The Curse of Frankenstein. This release is a single film release, which is almost like half the thickness of my head. And when you take it out of the outer box, there's an inner sleeve, and when you take that out, not only is there a digipack with, I believe, if I'm remembering right, there are 6 discs for this one movie. Now, the cool thing about this is this was done in conjunction with Warner Archive in the U.S., so they worked together on the restoration. Warner Brothers owns the rights to the films in the U.S., and they were released, they were announced on the same day, released around the same time. That way they're not cannibalizing each other's sales. But this version is vastly superior to the other one in terms of the contextual extras, because you get these 2 books that are both... The only thing I can really say here is shockingly great for a studio film, because Hammer Films is a studio themselves. You would expect this book to not be anything but like a fluff piece. It is anything but. Some of the analytical essays in here will make you question how you've watched any Frankenstein films ever in your life. And it is incredible. The back of it says The Books of Frankenstein Volume 1, so you know that they're planning on doing more of these Hammer Films releases surrounding the character of Frankenstein. The other thing is there is a Curse of Frankenstein graphic novel included in this, which is so well done. It looks like it was birthed from a graphic novel and was made to be this way. It's great. Yes, there are the dreaded art cards, like we already talked about, and a giant folded poster. Not as important to me, but the big thing, 6 discs. We have extras that span the last, no joke, like 80 years of cinema. We're talking audio programs that were in the Hammer archives. We're talking about UK archives of interviews from decades ago. And the great thing is, most of this is on the US release, and you can get it very cheap. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you think, man, I want that, and that looks very expensive, it is. And you probably don't need this giant release. You can probably go with the smaller release. But the Warner Archive release is only like $32 on sale, and it's, I think, a 4-disc release, and you get almost everything that's in this except for 1 disc of special features that is an exclusive to the UK, and it's, to be fair, not super important. If you are a brand new fan of this, you probably don't need it. That being said, if you adore like old UK cinema, if you adore Hammer films, you might want that extra disc. And this release, at the price that it's at, it came out at like $60, $62, something like that. I, crazy enough, will say I think this is almost undercharging for the amount of content that you get on this release, which makes the Warner Archive release look like a damn bargain. Because if you can get that for $32 and get almost everything, by all means, I believe that is the most cost-effective release of 2025, which is a huge win.
Hammer films traditionally haven't had great releases. I know that there's been like some multi-box sets, but the picture quality is not great, and I've heard the picture quality on these is really outstanding.
Yeah, it's legendary. I probably should have mentioned it, but I honestly, the supplemental features blew me away so much, it's kind of an understatement just to say, oh yeah, there's also a film, and it looks better than it's ever looked, and it will never look any better than this. Multiple brand new commentaries, lots of visual essays, lots of interviews. You will love it if you're into Gothic.
I'm gonna have to weigh out, do I want that much space taken out on my shelf?
Get the Warner Archive
release.
You'll be fine, yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's a great release, and I love that when you come on here, you also get some of the overseas discs as well to shine some light on those, because I didn't even know that had released. I didn't know that they released Curse of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I think it was early October, so not even that long ago. I think it's so intimidating how much is on these things that a lot of people still have not been able to go through it and be like, oh god, this is actually incredible. So yeah, if you get a chance, check it out.
All right, I will. All right, my next one actually just came in yesterday to my house. I got it finally at a price that I wanted to get it at. I've been waiting to get both volumes 1 and 2 of this all year. Now, to give you some context, I am a huge fan of old grindhouse cinema. I'm a huge fan of blaxploitation, and blaxploitation films typically have not also gotten great releases, but Shout Factory put out the blaxploitation classics, volumes 1 and 2. Ryan's got it here as well. He's showing it up. Yeah, these are really, really amazing sets. Each one has 6 different blaxploitation films in 4K. They each have, I don't know if they each have commentaries, but I know there are some commentaries. Oh, does volume 2 have more than 6?
It has 6 films, lots of special features, but I think it has less special features than the first volume.
Yeah, this one I'm really excited to open and check out because it's got the documentary, and it's got some footage of Jack Hill as well.
Yes.
In terms of the films that are included here, you got Truck Turner, a classic, Sheba Baby, which I wanted, and I believe it was Arrow that had it before, and it went out of print. Mm-hmm. And so I never got to get the Blu-ray of that, so now I got it in 4K. Coffee, which is an amazing film. Hell Up in Harlem, which I haven't seen, and I'm actually really looking forward to checking that out. Black Caesar, and then maybe my favorite so far in this collection, and if you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to check it out, Across 110th Street, which features a great score and a great song, but it's also just it's just a banger movie. So I love that Shout Factory has put a lot of effort into these releases. I know when they came out, there was a lot of John back and forth about the art that came with it, and then they changed the art to these kind of hazy, colorful box sets. I'll be honest with you, Ryan, I really don't care what the artwork looks like, because I mean, look at the shelf behind you. I got a closet that looks just like it. You almost never see the artwork anyway. So that doesn't bother me. It's about the movies inside. This comes with 4K and Blu-ray version. So if you are just Blu-ray right now and you haven't taken the dive into 4K yet, you can still pick it up and then either sell the 4K discs or wait until you do upgrade, because yeah, they are going to. I know from everything I've heard, they look terrific. I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm super looking forward to it, and I'm glad that blaxploitation classics are getting some love.
I love this set so much that yes, it will be one of my honorable mentions now. This was absolutely on my list, and primarily because of the first title that you mentioned. I have been shouting from the rooftops about the awesome underseen world of Truck Turner
Yeah.
for a decade maybe, and 101 Films over in the UK released it, and finally it was like available that people could purchase. But of course, it was only Region B, so the people that were in that world were fine, but not a lot of collectors in the US. So they were still behind. This got announced, and I went, okay, you finally have a chance. Go enjoy one of the most like incredible underseen films that you will ever see from this world. And the reality is, like, it's titled Blaxploitation Classics, and these have been exploited not only in the cinemas, not only in like the B movie theaters after that, not only in VHS days, then not only in the DVD days. They got really terrible Blu-ray releases for the most part,
Yeah.
and these came along, and they just to make you feel more confident, they look mind blowing. Shout Factory does mostly great work on their disc. They have a problem sometimes, every so often, but these all are just some of the best restorations, some of the best like brightening up of films that you could ever hope for. And I truly hope that more people start to give it a chance, because during that liquidation sale, this thing that was released at like 125, 130 bucks, you could pick it up for $60. That was the cheapest that it's been over the last couple months. $60, an insanely great price for six 4K incredible movies, 12 disc release. And the funniest part that I will end this on is you talk about them being bullied to change the art. You pop in any of the discs, the art on the menu is still the original art, which is one of the funniest things in the world to me.
Yep. I actually didn't hate it. I don't love it, but I didn't hate the artwork. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out.
I laughed so hard because all that means is they must have been very far into the process for this, and then they announced it, and everybody was like, "Oh, I'm not buying this." And literally within 24 hours, they got bullied into changing it. But nope, you're still getting all that art. You just didn't know it because it
Yeah.
wasn't on the outside.
Yep. It's what's on the
All right.
inside that counts, is what they say.
Yeah, that is so true. I've got one that I think you might pick, so I'm gonna hold off on that one.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
go with a box set again from a Region B company, and this is a well, I shouldn't say that. They also release things in the U.S. here, but this is a director that has been quite well known and not very well served on, at least in the HD world. They've gotten some DVD releases, and they've been on like the Criterion Channel and stuff. But I am talking about Radiance Films over in the UK, because they are Fran Simeone, who owns Radiance Films. We have both, if I remember right, waxed poetically about them jumping onto the scene and just being kind of legendary from like release one, from their very first thing, which was Big Time Gambling Boss, was incredible. Great visuals, great audio, great supplemental features, incredible art, immaculately curated. And it was very apparent from the beginning that when Fran left Arrow Video, he took a lot of that sentiment of like uh, art house and cult mashed up in a way that is desperately needed for those of us that love trash but also love just really well made films. And he has taken that to the nth degree with Radiance Films over their first 3 years. And this is a box set of, I probably should have counted first. Okay, there are 9 films in here. And I should say, I think there are 9 films and a documentary, or 7 films, a documentary, and a short, something like that. But this is Radical Japan, 9 films by Nagisa Oshima, and this box set is one of their best releases ever. Tons of contextual extras, including commentaries by Sam Deegan, Jasper Sharp, Tom Mess, like 3 of the main names that you want involved when talking about Asian cinema that need proper contextualizing surrounding the crimes, the government, the everything that has affected Japanese cinema throughout the years. But in all reality, as much as we talked about being sort of against like the whole limited packaging thing earlier, one of the main reasons to get this is this giant booklet. Again, like there is so much in this that is just perfectly laying out what you can expect from these films, why they exist, why they're important. And if you watch even one of those movies, if you are like me, you will immediately go, "Oh, I need like everything about this in my veins right now." And it's not only because it's well made, it's because it's so intriguing to find out like how did they let this get made in this way? How is this something that I'm not heard that I'm not hearing championed like every year on top 10 lists because that's some of the best movies literally ever to come out. It is a box set of radically different films. It is a box set that has been impeccably curated, and obviously since it's from the same director, that's an easy thing to say, but it's curated in a way that makes you feel like it is important cinema because it is. And I just really have to applaud Radiance for getting uh, risky releases out there every single month, because just like a company like Def Crocodile, it is almost important to be a company that survives putting out films that next to no one has heard of. And
Yeah.
Radiance continues to do it almost every single month, and I'm just immensely impressed constantly.
That's awesome. I haven't checked that one out yet. I've been paying attention to a lot of the Radiance releases. They just released, I don't know if they just released it, but I think they're the Shinobi box sets
Yep.
that I've been really interested in checking out. But what's your favorite film in that one, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, the first one is the one that took me. I was just blown away by it, and that one is called The Catch. That is the oldest one, I think, from 1961. Yeah, 1961. And there's so much about these that don't feel dated as old as they are. And what's crazy is it's a prolific director. This stuff goes from 1961 to 1995.
Wow.
And in Japanese cinema, that's not even just like a couple eras of Japanese cinema. That's like a lot of the history of Japanese cinema. And so there's a lot just taken up in this box set. So absolutely give it a shot if you are region.
That's awesome. When you started talking about your number 4 there, I honestly could just take that and then loop it for the most part for the introduction to my number 3. It's another box set by another single director by a Region 2 company that, for a director who has been like pretty underserved. And it is a box set of radically different films, but it's the one that I bought at full price. I pre-ordered it because I just didn't want to miss out. It's the Michel Haneke box set from Umbrella. This is an incredible set of 15 films. And it spans from 1976 all the way up to 2017. It's an incredible numbered box set. When we talk about books and those books that come with these sets, this special edition one has just an incredible... This is going to be one of my nominations for sure in the Shell Shock Rewind Awards. It's got a 100-page hardbound book that is filled with essays and just really cool information about this director. If you're not familiar with Michel Haneke, how would you even describe him? It's cinema that you're not necessarily entertained by, but you're more challenged by.
Yes.
If that sounds like something that's up your alley, this is going to be for you. But the good thing about a set like this, it is a lot of money. I think it's $240 at full price. But if you're willing to take that jump, it has a lot of supplemental features that will help you understand the filmmaking. It's got commentaries. It's got great visual essays. And a lot of names that you probably know if you're into Blu-rays, like Alexandria Heller-Nicholas. You've got Sean Hogan on here. There's a lot of really, really great names, and it is just a really stellar box set. Mine is number 711 out of 2,500, so there's only 2,500 of these made. I believe that they're still available if you want to jump on this. I think there's also a standard edition that you can get through Orbit DVD and those smaller folks here in the US that'll kind of import that stuff for you and ship it to you. Yeah, I love this set. It is just an incredible work of art. And out of the 15 films, I think my favorite is Funny Games from 97. It's probably, I wouldn't say it's his most well-known, but it might be his most well-known because he remade it. This is the original one, not the remake. And it is very disturbing, challenging cinema to check out, but he runs the gamut, and I highly, highly recommend it.
This is a solid damn release. For those that may be curious about it, it is region free, actually, even though the back says it's region B. You can watch it anywhere. But the big thing this year is we don't often get full director's box sets. we actually got two Hanukkah box sets this year. And so there were
Yeah.
two competing releases. One was over in the UK, one was in Australia, the one you showed. The UK one, the only thing it really has going for it to truly entice people is that it also has the US remake of Funny Games. Otherwise, that Umbrella release has everything else, literally everything else that he's ever done. And that alone is impressive. The prices are intimidating, but you're getting somebody's entire career of film with great extras. There is some overlap in extras between the two, and then the Curzon release has some unique, and the Umbrella one has some unique. It's no matter what you get, you're getting a great package. Is probably the best way to say it. However, if you're region free, or sorry, if you're locked in region A, or you are in Australia, there's really only one right answer, and that's got to be Umbrella.
Yeah, and I don't think it has everything he's ever made because I don't think Cachet is on there, and I was kind of bummed about that.
It's supposed to be, I think. Am I
don't-
wrong?
Yeah, I don't think Cachet is on there. It might be, but I don't think it is. Which is, that was the one thing where it's like, man, I wish that was on there because that's another one that I love of his.
I could have sworn it was in both of the box sets. That is interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It might be in the UK one. If it is, then
That might be another thing that I totally forgot about. Or maybe it was announced and then they had to pull it. Interesting.
it might have been. They did add another one later on, but it was his film from 2017, and I'm blanking on the name right now. But
Happy End.
Happy End, yeah, they added that one later. That one actually came in like its own little envelope on the front because they didn't have room for it inside.
What a problem to have, by the way, that we're in such a world that you go, oh, we have so much that we have to send something additional next to it. That is crazy.
Just right on the front.
What a world. Physical media is amazing.
It is. It really is.
So yeah, Cachet also not in the UK release either.
It's got to be something with the rights because that's an amazing one that they wouldn't have left out if they could have avoided it.
Man, I somehow missed that. I totally thought it was in both of them. I wonder if there's a music problem.
I don't know. I know it was released on DVD, but I don't think it's ever had a better release than that. I could be wrong.
Okay, I'm going to take a risk. And on my next release, I'm going to talk about one that I think you might have, but I really hope not. This is my number 3, I believe, right? Physical media is important. We've talked about many, many reasons why. One of the things that we have not talked about is the fact that certain films have not ever been available in the way that they were intended. And one of the most impressive things that I've seen this year is the way that God, he's getting name dropped twice in this. This is amazing. Congrats, Oscar Bescher from Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome put in the work to release Dirty Work, the dirtier cut, all put together in a way that really honors the legacy of Bob Saget and Norm Macdonald. Here is the slipcover, which should have been on the outside. The other artwork, this is atrocious.
So hideous.
Never should have been on the outside. The big thing here is the film itself. So for those that don't know, Dirty Work is a film that was directed by Bob Saget. That is really the passion project of Norm Macdonald, who is one of the greatest comedians of all time. I've always been a big Norm fan. I've loved Dirty Work since I first saw it in like 2002, I think. When it first came out, I was like 10 years old. Give me a break. So after that, I got up with it and went, oh my God, this is amazing. I love this random ass humor machine that is here. But something always felt a little weird about it. It wasn't quite Bob Saget. It wasn't quite Norm Macdonald. It felt, I don't want to say neutered, but it kind of did feel neutered. It felt like they were holding back on certain scenes that they didn't need to. And as it turns out, they had made a completely different film. And based on audience feedback, based on studio feedback, based on studio control, they had to release another film, essentially, as they radically changed lots of Dirty Work. And Vinegar Syndrome, following Norm and Bob's deaths over the last couple of years, went in and found the VHS recording of a live show where they put on the original dirtier cut for an audience for the first time in, I think, some random ass like Philadelphia theater or something like that. And they pierced the negatives where they needed to and hamstrung it to get it all together to literally scene by scene cut in the exact original, essentially dailies to remake the movie. But it's not done in a way that is like poor quality. This is the original camera negatives of everything that they had filmed, pieced together the original cut, and now you have the dirtier cut, the theatrical cut. You have a feature-length documentary that is like I'm borderline about to cry about this because this movie never got respect from anybody, and I know it's a danger-filled joke to make about this, but it's so true because like Norm Macdonald has been essentially shat on for everything that he's ever tried to do that wasn't Saturday Night Live, and
Yeah.
this could have been the start to a career for both of them that was like borderline Judd Apatow or taking over the comedy world that they did not get the opportunity to have. Granted, it likely would not have lasted because they were both a little too subversive, and if you've ever seen either of them live, you know why. But it is such a testament to what 1997 meant to them. And the documentary itself shows so much of that because almost everybody associated with this film, minus Artie Lang and his nose, are involved in this documentary and give so much love to him that, and him being Norm for the most part, that it is one of the most beautiful tributes I've ever seen in my life. I never imagined that this was ever possible. And then the biggest thing, I'm not just choosing this because my name is associated with it, but I was asked to help with one of the interviews for this. And being able to say that I was associated with the fundamentally most perfect release of Dirty Work ever imagined was like one of two childhood dreams come true for me this year that I'm still not over. I'm still just absolutely confused how this has happened, and I can't imagine a better choice. This is just an astonishing achievement, and I sincerely hope that Norm and Bob ever could have gotten the opportunity to see this much love for them as people because it is beautiful.
For those listening, who was your interview with?
Why did you have to ask that?
You know why.
For oh my god! Oh, this is going to be so funny. For those that have never seen Dirty Work, Dirty Work is quite a dirty movie, we can say, and not just because the jokes are dirty or anything like that, but there are titles for people that are maybe not super respectful, but they're done in a way that everybody associated with the film respected. Everybody felt respected. There are so many people that have been a part of this that look back in the most I don't know, reverential almost about what they did. But I helped with the interview of Uni Park, who is in this as an Asian whore, essentially. And I helped do the 2 short interviews that she did for this, and it's pieced into the overall documentary, but also there's some very unique stuff outside of that once you watch the documentary, go back to the menu, and it's kind of hilarious when you go to the menu. It's the entire length of your screen in very small print, all of the interviews that you can go watch, and Unipark is, I think, near the bottom because I think they did it alphabetized, but it's not super long, but just the way that somebody who is involved with her character name, that you could have thought this was distasteful and terrible. You click play on the interview and it's just her gushing about how nice Bob and Norm were and how much he felt respected. And I just loved so much about all those moments. So yes, Uni Park, it's amazing. Go give time to it. I adore it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't have this on my list. I actually don't own it yet. I'm waiting for it to hit a price that I can get it at. But I do find it amazing that Vinegar Syndrome isn't just releasing those unseen 60s grindhouse films, but they're also releasing things from when we were younger that never got the respect they deserved. And this Navy SEALs last year was another one that I really loved. Just incredible. And if you're a fan of Norm Macdonald's comedy, you shouldn't pass this up. It's been a long time since I've seen it. My brother was a big fan of this. I think when I watched it, I probably didn't fully I didn't fully get on its wavelength, but I want to check it out again, because when I saw it, Bob Saget was alive, Norm Macdonald was alive. Their whole careers and the trajectory of their comedy I've warmed up to it a lot more in my adult years, especially Norm. So I do want to check this out again.
I hope people love it. Seeing reviews for the Dirtier Cut this year pop up on Letterboxd has been just amazing to see the love everybody has for it.
That's awesome. All right. For the last 3 years, I've had a Shawscope box set. at the top of my list. It's not going to be at the top of my list this year, but it is number two. It is number two because I got Shaw Scope Volume 4 here. Now, in many ways, this, and yep, Ryan's got his as well. This right here is the Shaw set for me. The other three were very kung fu film heavy, and I loved all three. These are incredible sets. If you're not watching this on YouTube, these things are like a foot long, and they have incredibly intricate packaging where the discs slide into these long cardboard pages. It almost looks like a book that you flip through to check these out. It's also got a same size booklet that has all kinds of really cool photos and stories. It's just an amazing work in these Shawscope sets. I actually always, like, half the time I pick one up off my shelf, everything slides out because I pick it up by the wrong side. I'm like, no, I don't want to damage my stuff. They are absolute works of art. But this one is more focused on the weird Shawscope stuff, the Shaw Brothers stuff, like the horror and sci-fi. And if you've never seen horror and sci-fi Shaw Brothers, actually, if you want to hear me talk more about it, and Simon Abrams, go back to my top 5 Shaw Brothers films episode, because we gushed about a lot of these movies. But like, seeing Super Inframan for the very first time was incredible. These are movies with wild special effects, stories that don't make sense, and stuff that's just kind of happening, but it was Shaw Brothers experimenting. They're extremely gory, sexy, weird movies. It's got 10 different discs. It's got, let's count them here. We got Super Inframan, Oily Maniac, Battle Wizard, Black Magic 1 and 2. We got Hex versus Witchcraft, Hex After Hex, Bat Without Wings, Bloody Parrot, The Fake Ghost Catchers, Demon of the Loot, Seeding of a Ghost, Portrait in Crystal, and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is another one that a lot of people were excited about. 14 movies, plus a bonus disc with all kinds of stuff on it, video essays. There's commentaries for, I believe, almost all of these, if not every single one of them, with a lot of people we've already talked about here today. Sam Deegan's on there. Frank Jang, who's just great on commentaries.
Everywhere.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff on here, and every disc is packed with features. If you like kung fu movies, I'd say any one of these is a really safe bet. I don't know if, I think Volume 1's out of print now, but I think the other two are still in print. And then Volume 4 just came out, and it is just terrific. Even if you're not into kung fu, and you just like the kind of weird horror stuff, this one is just a treat.
Yeah, this is on my list because this is the Shawscope release that I've been counting down the days to be able to see. I'm so glad that they got this one down. One thing, I know that I harped on the packaging not being super important. I got to admit, the purple on this is gorgeous in person. I know it's a weird thing to highlight, but it feels like very Shawscope somehow. It's a weird thing to highlight again, but I mean, look at that. It is such a perfect, like, it complements the logo very well for what you're getting. So yes.
It also looks great on the shelf with the other ones because they're all these kind of glossy look to them. So we had blue and then orange and then green, or green then orange, one of those, and then we got purple, and they look fantastic next to one another. It's weird to try and find a place on the shelf for them because they're so unwieldy, but
yeah,
you know, we find a way.
Yeah, I again love this release, and I think everybody should own this one. Even if you don't love martial arts stuff, there is kind of something here for every other taste. And even if you like the martial arts stuff, there's a lot here for those of you that do love the martial arts stuff. So it's an incredible release and one that had to be on my list, so it's here next to me.
Awesome.
All right. We have both talked about Second Sight Films many times in the past, and they have a few releases that are going to get a lot of attention this year, I think. And one of them is just now arriving into everybody's hands, and that is the incredible film Possession. Likely going to top a lot of lists. I won't take that away from you. I've not been able to check out the disc, so I did not want to highlight that one yet. By the time that this airs, I probably will have seen it and maybe regret this choice. That being said, the one that I was most impressed with this year, because it is not a film that I expected them to release, let alone get the the overwhelmingly holy crap they went there for this type of film release, that is not a classic. This is not a film that has been around for 40 years that people have loved and been clamoring for since they were 10 or anything like that. But we got an amazing release of Shane Black's The Nice Guys that I really hope is not your number one.
No, because I don't own it yet, but
Amazing.
I need to get that because that's one of my favorite Shane Black movies.
Right. And I know that I've heard you talk about it a couple times before on lists, and it's so like perfectly made for a release like this because it needs not only a beautiful restoration, which this film is colorful and fun and pop culture like oriented in the way that it delivers visuals because it's Shane Black and he's always done that, that it deserved a loving release like this. And it's great. And it did get a corresponding US release from the studio that you can get. The film is pretty much almost an identical presentation. You get a lot of the same special features, so no need to go spend $60 for this one. You can pick up that one in the US if you'd like. However, the extras on this are just great as well. We get a new commentary with Shane Black himself and one of the co-writers, Anthony Bagarazzi, moderated by one of the writers, Priscilla Page, moderated by a writer, Priscilla Page. There's a new interview with Shane Black that goes pretty deep on it. New interview with one of the co-producers, a couple of other interviews, plus a new interview by Lee Singer, and then again, a giant book. It is a 150-page hardback book with new essays by so many of the names that we love through all of this. Mitchell Beaupre from Letterboxd, Barry Forshaw, Jamie Graham, Justin LaLiberty himself from Vinegar Syndrome, Naomi Roper, Hannah Strong, Nadine Whitney, art cards, of course, because everybody requires it. But it's a Shane Black movie from the middle 2010s that a lot of us loved and totally expected this to get buried under like studio fare for the next 25 years until somebody went, oh, I just found this out when it was beamed to my brain and I fell in love with it. Everybody needs to see this. But no, Second Sight said, you guys deserve something amazing right now. Delivered in 4K for the first time. Looks incredible. The art is really great. Second Sight Films. They deserve attention for this one.
Nice Guys, like you said, has made a couple of my lists. I love that movie. I think Ryan Gosling is an extremely underrated comedian, and if he is not making you crack up within the first 15 minutes, you don't have a sense of humor. He's so goddamn funny in that, and Russell Crowe and he play off of one another so well. I love that. I might want to rewatch that movie tonight because I do have a version on my shelf. I have the Blu-ray version on my shelf, and I have it in my brain that I might have one under the Christmas tree in a couple days. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll let you know if I do.
Nice.
All right, we're at the grand finale here. I've had, like I told you, I've had the Arrow box set at the top of my list every year that we've done this, I think. And this year, I couldn't do that because there were a handful of films that I have literally been waiting decades for a proper release of. Earlier this year, and I also said, this is the one time where I couldn't have where I had to have two of one studio represented. Back early in the year, we got news that the Golden Princess Library was going to be finally acquired, and it was acquired by Shout, and it was also going to, with a collaboration with Arrow for Region B folks. And when the Golden Princess Library was acquired, it was like one of the biggest pieces of news for me in forever, because I'm a huge fan of John Woo. And I saw John Woo movies for the very first time when I was working at the video store way back in the late 90s, very early 2000s. I was working in this store, talking movies with people every day. We started talking about Reservoir Dogs. This is back before everybody was kind of starting to know what the influences were on Reservoir Dogs, and City on Fire kept getting brought up. And I was like, you know what? I gotta get a copy of that. And I could not get a copy of that anywhere. But what I did find at Suncoast Video, if you remember that place back in the day, for like $25 a piece, I got copies of The Killer and Hard Boiled. And those VHS copies were like English dubbed, 4:3 aspect ratio, looked like shit, but I ate them up. I watched those VHS tapes so many times. And then when I started getting into DVDs, it was like, hey, Criterion has discs out for these too. I ended up finding those discs for a while, like back in the DVD days. Those were very expensive, like $100 a piece for these things because they went out of print very quickly. Got those. I was very disappointed in the quality on those discs. And after those releases, all of those movies just kind of disappeared. They had a really shitty Blu-ray copy of Hard Boiled, and they had a couple of like there was a DVD release of it outside of the Criterion one. I think Dragon Dynasty had one, and then there was a Blu-ray copy, but it was basically the DVD transfer. It looked like garbage.
That was Dragon Dynasty again, by the way.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me. I remember that dude from fucking Hong Kong Rescue, like doing his own restorations and selling those. And if you paid him, you might get a disc, you might not. It was a real mess. But he was doing that work because there was little to no guarantee that these would ever be released. And so when Shout got the Golden Princess library, like I texted my best friend immediately, like, holy shit, Golden Princess movies, we can look forward to this. And then it's like, are the prints going to look good? Is the disc going to look good? And they came out with City on Fire first. Then they came out with the Jet Li collection. But what I was really, really waiting for were Hard Boiled and The Killer. I watched The Killer first. It was great. But watching Hard Boiled, and that's my number one here, Hard Boiled, from Shout. It was like I had never seen it before. This was the one disc, Ryan, I'm sure you're the same way where you order a disc and you get it in and it's like, man, I can't wait to watch this and I'll watch it eventually. When I got the notice on my shop app that Hard Boiled was at the door, clear my schedule. Honey, you can take care of the kid tonight. I am holding up. I am watching Hard Boiled, unless you want to watch it with me. She didn't. But I swear to you, I was like, I couldn't look away from the screen. There's a 45-minute shootout that takes place in a hospital in this movie. I'd seen it dozens of times on VHS. It was like I had never seen it before. Absolutely incredible. This movie looks fantastic in 4K. It's got tons of special features. I mean, I'm not even going to read them all, but on the back of this box, new, everything's new. Interviews, commentaries. You get an audio commentary with Frank Zhang, who we already had talked about. You get audio commentary with John Woo and Drew Taylor. You get an audio commentary with John Woo and Terrence Chang, the producer, and filmmaker Roger Avery, critic Dave Keir. Tons of different interviews. And it's got a booklet too. It's got a hard case. I mean, what more can you ask for a release from John Woo Classics? And it's honestly, I could have had all of the John Woo movies. I bought the Better Tomorrow box set. I've actually still never seen 3, so I'm looking forward to watching number 3. I've seen 1 and 2, love those. The Killer is great, but here's the thing about The Killer. It's like when I was younger and I watched those VHS tapes, I kind of watched them in silos, and now I watch The Killer, and it's like, man, it's a really great movie. It just does not compare to Hard Boiled. Hard Boiled is so action packed and so good. It was weird for me because I had only watched these on VHS. When I pop in The Killer and the guy's name is not Jeff, because for years he's just Jeff for some reason. No, his name's not really Jeff. But man, this was like Christmas come early. Hard Boiled hits my doorstep. Cannot say enough good things about this. And another one that's been forever lost. I've only seen it on shitty DVDs and stuff like that is coming in February. And that's Bullet in the Head, which, if you haven't seen it, is an incredible war movie. Highly recommended. But start with Hard Boiled because it will show you exactly why Hollywood picked up John Woo in the mid '90s. And unfortunately, he was never able to kind of like establish himself as the director he wanted to here in the States. Hard Boiled is his finest work, and it's never looked better.
Those are high honors for a film like this, and knowing how action oriented you are, not surprised in the least bit. It makes perfect sense. The releases that they've done so far have looked great on the disc, looked great in packaging, and honestly, I mean, the fact that we have I don't know the exact numbers, but just the stuff that they've not announced yet, there's still like another 140 titles, 145
Yeah, I
titles
think
left.
the total was like 168 total films.
Yeah. It's kind of astonishing. So yeah, over in the UK, Arrow will be releasing. So far, it sounds like literally everything that Shout will also be releasing. And then in Australia, Imprint is releasing many of them, but not all of them. In France, Carlotta Films is releasing a bunch of them, sub-licensed from Shout. And then in Italy, there's a group called The Legends that they're also releasing. Not tons, like 8 or 10 of the biggest ones, but it is amazing that we go from you can't find these films anywhere but bootlegs to almost like the largest film scenes in the world are all going to be able to see just these incredible massive love letters to these films, and that's just beautiful. I love physical media.
I know. I was so shocked when I woke up and heard that news. And it was like, it's somebody trolling me right now because I got a text about it and it's like, man, I can't wait.
When I so Disconnected is known for being like, I don't post anything fake. I don't post anything that's speculation or anything. This is one of those things, and people are going to laugh at how ridiculous this sounds, but I had to like refresh the page a few times. I had to double check sources. I literally had to go research. So I was like 10 or 15 minutes late to posting the news because if this was fake, there goes everything that I've ever done to make this work. And this is one of those things that was literally unbelievable, and it's still like I would not be surprised if tomorrow they said, "Oh, something happened with the deal, and a lawyer contacted us, and we can't do any more." I'd be like, "Yeah, that checks out with the history of the Golden Princess Library. Sure, I'm glad we got 7 of them. That sucks, but okay, I get it." No, it looks like they're all coming, and that is mind blowing.
Yeah, it was owned by like a pharmaceutical company or something like that, the whole library, and they just would not license it to anyone. And yeah, I'm so grateful that we have them now.
What a weird world. Okay, so my number one is similar because it is a single film release, one that is getting a 4K release after getting shafted in especially US sales for quite some time. There was a UK DVD that looked like absolute garbage, and I took over for you this year. I did not announce any Arrow things until my number one, so Arrow is number one for one of us yet again.
Nice.
And this film is about to celebrate its 50-year anniversary in 2026, and I cannot believe that we finally have this in the best release that this will ever get, and that is the incredibly surprising, if you've never seen it, giallo film, The House with the Laughing Windows from 1976. And this is a quite personal choice because I've loved this movie for a long, long time. It is a very colorful giallo, which a lot of them are known for that, primarily because Argento is attached to them. But this is so, like, it's very early in the cycle. It's 1976, and it's not one that people had established the giallo framework in their minds for. And so it sort of comes in and just sets the stage for many of these movies to not necessarily ape later on, but it is one where it's when this is an inspiration, those very specific scenes and ideas are felt on the sleeves of the films that are now using those ideas. But man, I could not be happier with what we got on this release because there are so many names that we've already said tonight that are associated with this. We got Alexander Heller Nicholas and Josh Nelson from Australia. Alexander is from Australia, talking about this movie for a commentary. But then a second new commentary from, it's Italian, so we had to get Eugenio Ercolani and Troy Howarth on this one. But the big win here, brand new feature-length documentary on the movie that is literally like everybody that's still alive and even descendants of some of the people from the film associated with it, creating this brand new doc that is incredible. We've got a new visual essay by Chris Alexander, who's associated with Full Moon and Delirium magazine. Kat Ellinger does another visual essay, and then a big book with new writing by Matt Rogerson, Will Caitlin McClay, and Anton Battelle, and a couple others. It is just a beautiful release of a film that has never gotten like properly framed, properly aspect ratioed, properly delivered with the colors exactly color graded how they should be. And it looks like it is an absolutely just wonderful delivery of a film that I know most people are going to be discovering this year because this has not been easy to see in the US. And this being Arrow has releases in the UK and the US. This was only released in the US because Shameless, who did the Blu-ray previously, or not Blu-ray, sorry, the DVD before, they got the rights to do this in the 4K in the UK. And let's just say the Arrow one is still massively better than that one. So House with the Laughing Windows, if you have never seen it and you like giallo, if you like slashers, if you like any of like early Argento stuff with if you want early Argento but with the colors from Suspiria, this specifically is the film for you. So yeah, this is my choice of number one because I adore the movie. Any of these could be number one, but to get something that I've pined after for the last 15 years is such a satisfying moment that it couldn't be anything else.
Man, we got some amazing films here that anybody would like. There's so much content on these. You could pick these up and you could have content for days. You could be entertained. You could learn stuff, and you just get some really great movies. Killer list, Ryan, as always. What were some of those? Actually, before we do our honorable mentions, let's count down what we had on our lists one more time for the listeners, and I will start with that. At number 5, I had the Studio WB release of Sinners. At number 4, I had Shout Factory's Blaxploitation box set. I had Volume 1, but Volumes 1 and 2 are both great. Number 3, I had the Michel Haneke box set from Umbrella, 15 films, really, really sharp set. And number 2, I had to go with Shawscope Volume 4 from Arrow. And at number 1, I had Hard Boiled from Shout Factory.
I had at number 5 the Curse of Frankenstein 4K from Hammer over in the UK. At number 4, I had Radical Japan, the box set from Radiance Films, also in the UK. At number 3, I had the 4K of Dirty Work by Vinegar Syndrome. At number 2, I had the Nice Guys 4K from Second Sight over in the UK. And then number 1, Arrow Video with the 4K of House with the Laughing Windows. And I will say, I'm so grateful that I prepared because 2 of the ones that would have been on my list were on your list with Shawscope Volume 4 and Blaxploitation Classics Volume 1. I thought I was going to be able to sneak Blaxploitation Classics in, but so glad you appreciated them too.
Yeah, love them. Well, as always, there are probably some other honorable mentions. Did you have any other discs that you wanted to mention while I got you here?
I mean, it didn't deserve a long conversation here, but I'm born in the 80s. I love the horror classic franchises that we all do. This 4K Steelbook set of A Nightmare on Elm Street that is so big that it's not even in the frame of the video is amazing for so many reasons. One, like, they actually gave, as a studio, proper care to, like, make the packaging textured in a way that feels great for all those packaging people that love that crap. But my big love here is these films have had a history of looking like... let's say absolute dog shit is the nice way to say it. These movies finally look like films. There's film grain. They have been restored from the original camera negatives in the vast majority of cases. I think a couple were not, but they look remarkable. Nothing has ever looked this good related to this franchise. And this, when I was growing up, was my favorite horror franchise out of all of them. And so to see like Nightmare on Elm Street 2 look terrifying and clear, properly delivered in a way that I can see every seething pus bubble in that movie is so crazy, and just like 12-year-old me is going insane inside of me just knowing that like it is the foundation of my horror upbringing, and now it's the best possible thing that I can imagine. So that's the only one I pulled to the side. Possession 4K from Second Sight could have been on this list most likely. Like I said, I've not seen it yet. I didn't really want to pull any that I had been heavily involved in because it feels a little weighting the scale of too much, but Deaf Crocodile is a company that is oh so very special to me, and they have released so many movies this year that hardly anybody in the world had ever heard of. I truly wish people would grab almost anything that they've done this year. You will find some of the most amazing animation releases that you've ever dreamed of. There is this beautiful, like, flowing, lush French animated film that they did called Gwen and the Book of Sand, and it is beautiful and like meandering in the most art house of ways. And as an animated film, it is mind-blowing to see the visuals that they pull off. It is gorgeous. They did this incredible movie this year called The Devil's Bride, which it's a... Let me just say these first few words, and I'm not going to say anything else because you're going to want it at that point. It's a Lithuanian rock opera. Like, I have to own that. I don't know what else you're going to say to make me believe it. I know that I have to own it. So it literally, like, borderline changed my life when I saw that movie for the first time. And I truly hope that it can change somebody else's because it is a beautiful movie.
Yeah, you know, I totally forgot that about a release that Deaf Crocodile had put out that could have made my list too, that I think you worked on, called Philly Day.
Yes, we did. Yeah, that
Yeah.
technically, I think it delivered like the last week of 2024. So I guess you're off the hook because I think it delivered
Ah.
in late December.
Got it. Well, yeah, that one's another incredible one. Out of all the discs that you worked on this year, what do you think was your favorite? You can
The
self-fillet. That's all right.
are we saying favorite film or like the favorite experience to work on it?
Whichever you want.
Okay, I mean, not to be a name dropper here, but I have to shout out like the fact that we had somebody recommend us to the essentially a studio, and we got to work with Cineverse this year on the brand new release of their new film, The Toxic Avenger, which is technically a remake of the original film, but it's. Did you see it? Did you like the new movie?
Still haven't seen it yet. I'm looking
Okay.
forward to it.
So it's quite good. It is surprising how good it is, considering the original was, let's be honest, it's like a trash film that
Yeah.
you end up loving because it's got heart in like some of the silliest of ways, but a lot of people watched it just because it's fun and silly. And the new one feels the same. I don't love the CGI blood. That really pulls me out of almost any film. But other than that, it has a lot of the same feeling. And so I loved it. But we were asked to come on and essentially do a history of the Toxic Avenger, and what we did is we made about a 10-minute video that is calling the Toxic Avenger as the hero that we need right now. And we wrote out this long script, and it was great, and we got done, and we were ready. And then we went, this doesn't quite feel like it has that punch to deliver. And still can't comprehend that we did this, but we pulled off another just amazing heist and got the legendary Scream Queen, Miss Tiffany Shepis, to get involved with us. She is on the disc. She narrates the second half of our video. And what's crazy is we've been working with her on other projects since then because we all loved working together so much. And it elevated this video from like, hey, this is pretty fun, to, oh my God, everybody needs to see this because it's incredible. We drop jokes about President Trump. We drop jokes about Girls Gone Wild. We drop jokes about America only surviving because of Taco Bell. And it's just a really fun, very trauma 10 minutes of hilarity. And it's by far the largest thing that we've ever worked on. And I can't wait for more and more people to discover it. Because not only are we on this release, we are on the German release from K-Flight. So, yeah, it's pretty fun to be all over the place and seeing that video make the rounds.
And you had to learn German for it.
I did. And for some reason, they still made me wear the mustache. But I don't know.
That's awesome. I got to check that out. I was a little worried because I knew it was shelved for like 2 or 3 years before it actually came out, but I've heard some pretty good things, and your involvement in that disc really makes me want to check it out. Speaking of the world being saved by Taco Bell, one of my honorable mentions is Demolition Man from Arrow.
Yes.
Like you, again, watched a lot of movies in the 80s and 90s, and in the 90s, Arrow really came through with some good ones. We had Demolition Man, Deep Blue Sea, which got a great release, and The Long Kiss Goodnight, which I gotta watch soon because Christmas is almost here, and I absolutely love that movie, and it's about time that it had a really good treatment on 4K. And then the other honorable mention that I had, I bet that if I would have gotten it before this show, I would have put it on my list. It's my second favorite movie of all time. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. Boogie Nights got a 4K release, and while I have it ordered, it is not in yet for me. Ryan's holding up the Steelbook edition here. Again, some controversy around that artwork. I think it's fantastic.
It's incredible.
More Roller Girl in my life.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Ryan, I know we've run a bit longer than we normally do, but there was a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Where do you want people to check out more of your work?
Well, obviously, the usual is the Disconnected on all social media, but the big thing moving forward is antennareleasing.com. That website is live now. You can sign up for our newsletter. We are going to be having stuff playing in theaters starting in just a couple months. Literally, March or April will be the premiere of our first title in theaters. And moving on from there, you're going to learn about physical media releases as early as this fall. And we have a lot of incredible things planned that I cannot wait to share with you.
There's going to be a link to both websites in the description, so go check out Disconnected on YouTube and go check out, what is it, antennareleasing.com, and sign up for that.
That's
newsletter.
The website, yeah.
Cool. Awesome, Ryan. Thanks so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on and to be a part of your network.
Genuinely an honor to be here, and I cannot wait to see the next iteration of Force 5.